You're listening to the Get Rich Podcast. This is not a financial advice podcast. This is a podcast with two friends talking about how to get rich. Thank you for listening.
Tyler,
Yes.
I present to you this day another idea. It's not my best idea, but it is one that I would
Skip. You can keep going, sorry.
Oh, you're just like,
Yeah, I'm the audience.
you're the audience. Okay, I don't care. People aren't listening for the ideas. They're listening because of our awesome banter.
It's how to get rich. People are out there doing it, just like us.
No, this is not a financial advice podcast. But I present to you this day one of my favorite ideas just because it's one that I would like to do the most.
Let's hear it.
Build custom tree houses for people.
Like Swiss Family Robinson.
I just want to get rich. Get rich.
Get rich, get rich,
So I'm gonna start a podcast.
get rich, get rich,
How come no one's ever done this?
get rich, get rich.
Now it's time to.
Now it's time to get rich.
Exactly like that. Yes.
All right.
Yes. Questions, concerns, thoughts.
I've got lots of concerns.
Like
I've got
what?
lots of concerns. Questions? Maybe. But concerns? Yes. Just flesh out this idea for me a little bit more. I mean, I had a tree house. My dad built one when I was little in our backyard. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. Maybe this is a thing. Like I never had a tree house,
Okay.
and I've always wanted one. Maybe this is a childhood. Like so, if I didn't have one as a child, I would build other ones for other people.
That could be. Well, I mean, when I call this one a tree house, we called it a tree house, but it wasn't really like built into the tree. It was more like built over a tree. So like we had
So it wasn't connected to the tree.
No.
It's not a tree house, Tyler.
Okay. It was a playhouse on stilts.
Yeah, you had a
No, it
tower.
wasn't. It was actually really cool.
tower, Tyler.
It was actually pretty cool because there was a ladder on the outside, and then you could climb up the old pecan tree that Dad built it over, and there's a trap door, so you could like go up the old pecan tree and
See,
go
that's
to the
like
trap door.
every kid's dream.
A trap
isn't it?
door, I know. Yeah.
I wanted a tree house so bad as a kid, and by the time we moved out to the country, well, I guess we were in middle school. Why didn't my dad build me a tree house, man?
I think middle schoolers aren't as interested in tree houses.
Yeah.
At least not ones that their dads build. They're probably more interested in trying to build their own.
I guess. And whenever we moved here, there's no trees big enough, or there definitely wasn't then.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
have a couple candidates now that have grown over the past 20 years that my family's owned this land. But anyway, yeah, so I guess a treehouse wasn't really an option when we first moved here unless we were going to go do it on, a neighbor's land or something.
Or you just want to call it, what was it you said, a crappy tower?
A crappy tower. No, I want it to be part of the tree. But let me just start with, the whole inspiration for this. Should we look up the show name? Because I'll probably say it and it's not the right show name, like a freaking
Yeah.
Manhunter.
Like Manhunter / Man Tracker.
Pretty sure the show was called Treehouse Masters.
Okay, so this idea comes to you from a show and
Yeah.
perhaps
It was called
an unmet wish in your childhood.
Yeah. I've always wanted a treehouse. And if I have a treehouse building company, I could build myself one as well,
True. Is that a tax write-off because it's like a model treehouse
Maybe,
now?
yeah, it could be a model treehouse.
Okay.
Exactly.
That's a good idea.
So that's a good idea.
I mean,
But there's a show called I didn't know this was a thing that people did professionally. But there's a show. It was called Treehouse Masters. If you've never seen it, watch it. It's a lovely show.
time out. The internet hasn't taught you that people do everything for money?
When I first saw the show, it probably was 10 or 15 years ago. I don't even know. It said, when I
Okay.
just quickly Googled it, that it was 2013.
Yeah, that's 10 years ago.
I don't know if that's the year it started or the year it ended. But,
So this is a show. So it's not only someone who does this for a living, but has somehow managed to market it as entertainment as well.
So they're getting paid to make a show and paid to build tree houses.
Okay, well, we'll just focus on the building part.
Yeah, like the reality show will come later. But
All right. Yeah, sure.
that's a great idea. I never even thought of that till now, though. If he made a reality show out of it, I could too. But anyways,
Anything's a reality show.
yeah, right. We should be recording this podcast
Recording
with video.
that we're recording this podcast behind the scenes.
Behind the
This
scenes, yeah.
is
Anyways, so
dumb.
it never entered my mind before. Like treehouses were a thing. Your dad built. You hope he did a good job.
Yeah.
And then this show comes
Ours
along.
was awesome. He eventually built like a little deck for Adria. Like, so it was like a little
You're just trying to
extra
rub
thing.
it in, Tyler. Like, oh, I had a treehouse when I was a kid. You didn't. It was awesome too, by the way. Let me tell you about all the details.
I have 2 horrible memories with that treehouse.
And probably a bunch more positive ones,
I
right?
have some good ones. Yeah, absolutely,
Let me
some good
guess.
ones.
You fell out of it.
No. Okay, so one after the treehouse was built, I don't remember how old I was, maybe 6. I had a hamster, right? And this guy was little, right? He was a tiny hamster, and we had these like old Coke crates, right? We would play like the ground is lava with them, and you toss them around, you try not to, melt. Either way, so I had these Coke crates stacked up, and I'd put the hamster on top, and he would like run down, right? He would like crawl through them.
You would let your hamster out of its cage
Yeah, in the treehouse.
in the treehouse.
Yeah.
This hamster died, didn't it?
So the way that it was really sad. What
Whoa.
happened?
I'm cool with stories or bonus like, is this funny? It sounds like it's not going to be funny, Tyler.
I like that hamster. Okay, so the other story, while my dad was
It's a good hamster.
while my dad was actually building the treehouse, I was on the side of the yard, climbing a fence or climbing a tree, right? Climbing a tree over a fence, and as I was climbing, the limb that I was on snapped. I fell, straddled the fence, and you know how chain link fences have the little parts that are like twisted at the ends, and usually those are on the ground.
Yeah.
These were sticking up.
Did you get like a
Oh yeah,
piercing down there you didn't ask for?
yeah.
Still.
I've got 2 kids.
Okay, so your first story. Yeah.
I've got 2 kids,
Your first story.
presumably mine.
Your first story was about a pet hamster dying on your treehouse, and then your second story had nothing to do with the treehouse.
But it was a memory I have of the treehouse because
But
my
it
dad was
doesn't-
building it. He
but it-
jumped straight off of there because he heard
like-
me wailing. He jumped off of that
The
thing.
treehouse was a thing that was taking, like, it had nothing to do with the treehouse, though.
I mean, we also had fun games in the treehouse. I remember having I getting on to my friend Justin for like putting the crayons back in the wrong spot. I was really particular. They had to go, chromatically and blend. I
I
had one of
learned
those.
like a new word from ombre or whatever.
Yeah,
Like
ombre.
it has the ombre. I
Oh,
don't know what it means technically, but it's like where dark goes to light or
Yeah.
light goes to dark.
yeah. Well, I'm using the term chromatic. Either way, so they were chromatically ordered, and I had one of those big books. It was like 160 crayons, and he'd put them back in the wrong spot, and that would make me.
And this is again just another story that
in the treehouse.
okay, but it has nothing to do with the treehouse.
We would also like blow sand in each other's face and stuff.
And you just so happen to be in a treehouse.
Yeah. What memories do you think are going to happen in a treehouse?
I don't know.
It's
the
every
time
day-
you first tried your first cigarette, or the time you fell out of it and broke your arm, or
That was a
your,
swing
your
set.
secret stash of something you kept up there. Like
We
treehouse
moved.
stories.
We moved before any of those other things. There's no first kiss. There's no secret stash. There's no, first cigarette, first beer. None of that happened because I was in elementary school.
Well, that's a good time for your first cigarette, right?
This episode so far has been very little.
You haven't let me talk any about treehouses. You've gone on rants that have nothing to do with treehouses. I'm trying to tell you about the inspiration for this idea, and then I was going to get into the pricing details.
Okay.
Treehouse.
I'm sorry to steamroll you. All right.
I'm cool with, let's just call them bullshit stories if they are funny.
I think one of them was funny.
Which one, Tyler? The one about the hamster dying, or the one about you piercing your genitals accidentally as a child?
That one.
That one's funny
Yeah,
to you?
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it is now, especially with the part where I'm like, oh, I've got 2 kids, so everything's all right.
Yeah. Okay, so the inspiration for this idea was Treehouse
And
Masters.
it wasn't.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
It was. Not. But
Yeah, the cojones.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do people pierce those?
not intentionally. I mean, I could have like ruptured a testicle or something.
Yeah.
I could have lost a testicle.
So the inspiration for this idea, a show called Treehouse Masters. It opened up the world to me as far as that's a thing you can do and have a business and make money from. Yes, people will pay stupid amounts of money for tree houses. Before we get into that, though, watch the show Treehouse Masters. I'm sure it's streaming somewhere.
We're doing recommendations now.
The main guy on it, let me pull up his name real quick. Pete Nelson is a lovely man. He had a good personality for a reality show.
So like the kind of guy that you would want to be like your uncle or your grandpa.
Your uncle, your grandpa. He was like that idyllic fatherly figure, like nice, kind of goofy, kind of funny,
He built tree houses.
patient, and was good with wood. Yeah, was good at woodworking. The ideal, like grandfather figure or whatever you want to call it. It's a lovely man. He made that show. But anyways, just doing some Googling, because I don't remember in that show if they're like, oh yeah, I'll build you a treehouse. I think the people like came in with like, our budget is X to X.
Like house hunters or something.
Like house hunters, and then he would build something, to match their budget.
We're looking for a tree house somewhere in the $500,000 to $1 million range.
I mean, I'm sure he'd be like, we can do that.
Okay.
Mm.
Sponsor?
You want to do it together? Yeah.
First time.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
And now a quick word from this episode's sponsor.
Hello, I'm Nate, founder of the Neighborhood Smokery Store. Here you'll find all of your grocery store favorites, but naturally infused with the aromas and flavor of smoke. In our bakery, you'll find smoked breads, cookies, and cakes. In the dairy section, you'll find our selection of smoked butters and cheeses. Hey, Jessica.
Hi, Nate.
Be sure to visit our produce section, where we have smoked pineapples, oranges, and bananas. And of course, our condiments include smoked peanut butter, honey, and even a smoked mayo. Try something different tonight. Cook up something from the Smokery Store.
All right. And we're back. So yeah, I don't remember if the show, what the price range was. Again, this was 10 plus years ago, so prices now are probably way more. But after some quick Googling, so let's first off just define, there is like your treehouse for like a kid, where it's like wooden walls, wooden floor pretty much. Google says that those can average anywhere from $6,000 to $17,000.
Okay.
And then you have the whole livable treehouse category. And that was kind of what the show Treehouse Masters would do, where they would put electricity in them, beds, furniture, and usually a toilet situation where it was like a compostable toilet, basically like a litter box for a human.
I've heard about those.
It's a real thing, man.
Yeah.
One of our relatives said that
in
in a school their kid went to or whatever, there was a litter box put into the bathroom because one of the children identified as a cat.
I hate that story because we all know it's false.
See, but this is like almost firsthand, secondhand.
I heard the exact same story in the exact same way from someone about a middle school here.
Do you think the number of children that nowadays, do you think the number of them that identify as a cat is 0? I guarantee you there are some children nowadays that identify as a cat. Agree?
I can't answer that question. I don't know.
So you're saying there's 0 kids in existence, let's just say in America, that identify as a cat right now? 0?
I do not want to perpetuate this story.
I guarantee you there's kids in existence that identify as a feline.
And if they want a litter box at home, I'm sure that's fine, but I'm not
Same.
seeing that any of them have happened in schools.
Tyler's saying it's a fake story. Why don't, if do y'all know, let us know at jnt@getrichpod.com.
And also, while you're there, like, if you're listening to this on something, like it and subscribe it, because, we know that there are listeners that aren't subscribed.
Yeah, subscribe. It helps us out with the numbers and whatnot. But
Treehouses.
treehouses. So then
Litter
the whole
boxes.
litter boxes in treehouses. So if you build one that is a quote unquote livable treehouse with electricity, a place to poop and pee,
So like a cabin in a tree.
a cabin in a tree. Now this is a ridiculous number here, but this is from homeadvisor.com. The price range is from $75,000 to $400,000, and then it says on average $240,000.
I would assume that's kind of accurate. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think I would start with those kind.
I don't think you could.
Yeah, because I'm not a plumber or an electrician or a contractor. However,
yeah.
I don't know, like, so I know no one can just go build, like, you can't just go build a house.
Yeah.
Can you just go build a treehouse? Can you just go build a shack? What defines it as needing to be a contractor to build it? That's something I probably should have Googled before
Probably,
this
yeah.
episode.
You can do a lot of things on your own property,
Mm-hmm.
right? But then if you were to sell your property, you would either have to demolish what you've done or have an inspector come in retroactively to...
But when do they have to
Inspect it.
inspect it? When it's a residence, perhaps?
I would assume so.
If it's just a treehouse and it's not a residence, I don't know if it has to be inspected.
But if you're living in it or you're suggesting that you're going to live in it...
Well, I don't think so. I think if people just said it's a treehouse, our kids and us play in it sometimes,
You'd probably
Yeah.
be okay until you sold the property.
I think you could get away with not having to have it inspected. You just get the homeowner to sign here, if we die in the treehouse, we'll not hold, John's Treehouses LLC accountable. Whatever.
But yeah, I mean, that does raise the point of like the liability insurance that you would definitely have to have, because there are different, the reason why we have those codes is to make sure that the builders that we are using are the builders we trust.
Yeah, well, I'd make them safe. I wouldn't make them unsafe. That'd be not a good way to grow your treehouse business.
It's true. But, laws associated with that, I think, go back all the way to Hammurabi. They go back.
Yeah, nobody will get that reference, but
Thanks, guys.
Hammer.
You're out there.
But so I wouldn't be that concerned. I'd start off simple, build the cheap ones. I don't know what the price of lumber is nowadays, but I'm assuming you could get enough wood or plywood,
For $2,000.
$2-3 grand maybe.
And then you're selling it for the 10 or 6 or whatever.
Yeah.
And hopefully you're not wasting all your money on labor.
Well, I could do a simple one by myself, probably. You could help me, right?
I mean, if we're going 50-50,
Yeah, we'll go 50-50.
we're going halvesies.
So, yeah, I think the profit margins, let's just say, $5 grand to build with labor and cost and everything, supplies, and then you sell it for 10. That's a $5,000 profit. And you could probably build one in less than a week.
Yeah, that's true.
$5,000 a week isn't bad.
If you've got a few people out there, you get it done in a day.
You could, like the way Treehouse Masters did it, and this is something one day, like if the business is successful enough, you could do. The main guy would go out there and like make a sketch, and then they would pre-build all the walls and then just ship the walls in.
Yeah.
They would lay the deck, the subfloor, the subfloor, and then they would just like have all these wall frames come in. They'd have to use
hoist them up.
They'd have to use like levers and pulleys and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever saw them use a crane. They would just do the pulleys and stuff and pull up the walls and then just screw them all in where they go. They'd have like the walls and the subfloor built in like a day.
Yeah.
So there's good money. And then once you get developed enough in it, and you start doing that $75,000 to $400,000 range, find some people who have some trees on their land and their property's worth millions of dollars or something. Yeah, they'll pay freaking $200,000 for a fancy treehouse.
Yeah. Yeah. You can do them for parks and stuff probably too. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, I mean, every park needs a treehouse. Every house needs a treehouse. Every property needs a treehouse.
That's a good slogan.
Right?
Every house needs a treehouse.
Or every tree needs a house. How many trees do you got?
Every tree needs a house. That is catchier, but I also think it's way more ecologically destructive.
No, that's another thing. This would all be humane. I don't know if treating trees nicely. What would be the word for that?
I don't know. You
This
make
would
one
all
up,
be environmentally friendly.
but every tree needs a house wouldn't be.
No, it would be, because I would copy the way Treehouse Masters guy did it.
Yeah.
They would make it where the tree could grow with the house.
Yeah. Yeah.
He'd make sure the tree had no diseases. There was some rule of thumb where they would only remove up to, I think, 20% of the branches.
Okay.
And cause if you it's like giving a tree a haircut.
Yeah,
if you
cut too much off,
it's
it'll
not
die.
good for it. If you cut a little, it's okay.
Yeah.
So I would do similar practices. But I think this is a really good idea personally, just because I've always wanted a tree house. If I have a company that builds them, I could build myself one.
And it speaks to you personally.
It
And that I
does.
think those are the ideas that have merit.
Like, I would enjoy building a tree house. Like, that would bring joy to me. And if it brought me joy and money,
Yeah.
joy and money, what else do you want in life, really? I mean, that's all you need.
All
A
right.
lot of people have money and no
Yeah.
joy.
That's true.
A lot of people have joy and no money.
Also true.
If you have both, though, then you're rich.
Get rich.
Get rich. And I'm telling you, Tyler, this is one of my favorite ideas.
Nice.
Thanks for listening to the Get Rich Podcast. Go to our website, getrichpod.com, or email us at jnt@getrichpod.com to let us know what you thought about an episode or to submit episode ideas. If you really want to support us, subscribe to our Patreon. You can find us at patreon.com/getrichpod. Subscribers will have exclusive access to vote on ideas we try, access to videos of us doing the ideas, as well as weekly bonus content. Thanks for listening.